Today you're coming with me on a trip to the Andaz in Scottsdale, and we're going to figure out through a 5-point rating system if it is worth it. The 5-point framework will include a review of the facilities, the rooms, the service and hospitality, the food and the location. And while you'll expect the property at this price point to be exceptional, there were a few surprises along the way. But let's start with the first point, which is the review of the check-in process as well as the facilities. The property has a total of 185 bungalows, and a group of these bungalows have a pool that they share. We are in bungalow number 2E, and the pool right next to our bungalow was a sizable one with enough seating for people living in these bungalows. But because we were traveling with our pet, we didn't really get a chance to get into the pool. Let's quickly talk about the gym at the property. As you enter the gym, you see a bunch of towels that you can use during your workout, and there is enough cardio equipment in there if you're looking for a cardio workout. As you'll head into the corner of the gym, you'll see there are yoga mats as well as weights available. One thing I'll call out is that there was a wall-mounted mirror machine that wasn't working. But overall, the gym was sizable and had everything you needed to get a workout in. During our stay here, on one of the days, I ended up taking a spa service, and the spa was called Palo Verde. The spa was nothing out of the ordinary with massage rooms, showers, a plunge pool outside, but the one complaint I had when I visited the spa was that the sauna wasn't working. However, the receptionist at the spa applied a 15% credit, so it was all good. And the last thing I'll mention about the facilities is the sheer size of the property. The property is spread out over 23 acres and gives you plenty of space to walk around in. Overall, the facilities get a 4 out of 5. Let's move on to point number 2, which is the room itself. We had booked the Ada King shower, which is about 360 square feet, but let's do a quick walkthrough of the room together. Welcome to the tour of bungalow 2E. Come with me. So this is the main door. There's a door at the back as well, but we'll go through the main door and see what's inside. Come on through. So as soon as you enter the room, the bathroom's going to be on the right hand side. There's a small area to put your luggage and sit down and wear your shoes. There's a nice little sliding door that they have in here, and if you come in, has a basic sink with the bathroom and the toilet on the other side. Size TV, I think it's about 50 inches, a nice little table here to get some work done. There's a side table on one side of the bed, and the other side of the bed has a platform where you can put stuff, king size bed. Interesting art on the wall if you turn the camera over there, and then if you come in, that's where another piece of art is. Nice little lamps right next to the bed. A nice little seating area, lounging sofa sort of a situation here. And the nice thing about these bungalows is there's a door on the back side as well. And as soon as you open the door and come out on the other side, there's a nice little area here. You can do some yoga in the morning or just sit and relax. And you can't see it here. I'll put it in a video later on. But the pool is there. It's a common shared pool area. Overall, the room gets a 4 out of 5 as well. Let's move on to point number 3, which is the service and hospitality at the property. Like I said right at the top of the video, here's where we faced a few challenges, but before we get into that, let me call out something that was really good about the property, and that was the room service. Since we traveled with Gigi and he gets a little anxious around people and in common spaces, we decided to order in room service for the days that we were there. I'll comment about the food in the next section, but here, what I wanted to talk about was the room service. We had a couple of people bring in the food for the 2 days that we were there, and overall this experience was fantastic. The people were very friendly, they gave us recommendations for things to do around the area, so thumbs up. But now let's move on to the elephant in the room, which is the challenges we had with the service and hospitality. We reached the resort pretty late in the evening and we were checking in at around 7 p.m, so it was very dark outside, and so we drove up the driveway and kept the car right in front of the lobby. As I'm checking into the hotel, my girlfriend was seated in the car. And this is the time where the valet decides it's a great idea to start walking up to her, and he starts being very rude. His contention was that we parked the car in the wrong area. Granted, we checked in at 7 p.m. and none of the signs anywhere on the property were visible. So my girlfriend decides to walk into the lobby to tell me to move the car. And this is a couple of minutes away from us completing our check-in process, but the valet is insistent that I needed to move the car. So I ended up taking the car, put it in the parking area, came back into the hotel, completed the check-in process, then again got into the car and drove to our bungalows. The second issue I had with the resort was basically with the housekeeping. Now, it had nothing to do with how the housekeeping was done, but it was to do with their responsiveness. After the day of our arrival, when we were heading out to see a few places, we called the reception and asked them to take care of housekeeping. When we came back, the housekeeping wasn't done. We called them again. Nobody showed up. We called them again after a couple of hours and still nobody showed up. But then we left the bungalow to go for a walk, came back, and only after that was the housekeeping done. Maybe I'm missing something here, but over a 6-hour window, I'd imagine they have someone to take care of housekeeping, especially when the guests are asking for it. So overall, the service and hospitality at the hotel gets a 3 out of 5. It's time to talk about the food, and this is where, in my opinion, the resort shines. There were 2 places you can eat at the resort. Number one was the Weft and Warp Art Bar, and the other one was the Turquoise Pool Bar and Grill. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we ended up ordering room service on both days from the Weft and Warp Art Bar. They primarily have Mediterranean cuisine but also do pasta. Overall, our experience with the food was fantastic. My opinion is you probably cannot go wrong with their appetizers. Everything from the baba ganoush to the hummus was delicious, and the pita bread had a little bit of za'atar and olive oil on it, and it was delectable. We ended up ordering breakfast on both days at the hotel. Overall, the food gets a 5 out of 5. The last thing I'll talk about is the location of this property. Now, this property is bang in the middle of everything you would want to do in Scottsdale. There are restaurants nearby, coffee shops, the downtown is not that far away, and a couple of hiking areas very close to the hotel. So all in all, I'd give this a 5 on 5 on location as well. That gets us to an average score of 4.2 for the property. So we have a final score on the property, and before we talk about the final verdict, I wanted to talk about how we ended up booking this place. Now, it should come as no surprise that we used Hyatt points to book this property. We transferred over our points from Chase over to Hyatt and booked this using 42,000 points during the Thanksgiving weekend. If you look at the retail price of the property over any weekend, it tends to be around $1,070. If you do the cent per point calculation, it turns out to be about 2.5. With that, we can move on to the verdict. My perspective is if I was paying with points to stay at this property again, I'd probably do it. But if I was paying cash prices, I'd hesitate. And it is primarily down to the service and hospitality at the property. Let me know in the comments below if you've stayed at the property and what your experience has been like. I'll see you next time.